Hello, I'm David Morris. I've just been travelling in China for the last few weeks, and it's been great to see the return of Australian wine and other products into China. And of course, at the moment, as I speak, the Chinese Premier Li Qiang is in Adelaide. He's just promised today to lend another 2 pandas to the Adelaide Zoo, so Australians I think are going to be very pleased to have some pandas, and let's hope that this new pair of pandas can produce the first panda baby in the Southern Hemisphere. You never know, you never know. But it's been a tense time between Australia and China the last few years, and so this visit by Li Qiang, the Premier, to Australia, to Adelaide, and then to Canberra, and then later to Perth, I think is a very good sign that the relationship is mending or is stabilising, as the Australian government says, just as Albo's visit, the Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's visit to China late last year, helped as well. These leader visits are very important because they send a message that governments actually want to find common ground, want to find solutions. And this is really important, not just at the political level, even though I've worked at the political level as a diplomat, but at the business to business level, it's really important to have stable relationships. And this is where Australia and China, which have both benefited so much for so many years from economic interdependence, from trade, from education, people-to-people exchange, that's not just rhetoric, it's real for Australia and China. It's real for millions of people whose jobs, prosperity depend on a sound relationship. Of course, there are dilemmas. And of course, there are issues within the relationship. Australia and China are very different countries, see the world differently. There's no doubt, I always disappoint my Chinese friends when I say this, but there is no doubt that Australia will remain a loyal US ally into the future, as far as it is possible to look into the future. But equally, I disappoint my Australian friends when I say equally, there is no way that China in the future is going to be comfortable with US hegemony or US control of the Pacific either. So we are in a period of tension, geopolitical tension, between the US and China. And what does that mean for us Aussies? Are we pulled in one direction or another? Well, or is there an alternative? And I think there is an alternative. I think a strong Australian government focused on Australia's national interests means that we can do both. We can walk and chew gum, as the old saying goes. We can actually have a security relationship with the US that's about defending our interests, but we can also have an economic relationship with China that's also about defending our interests. We can do both and not be pulled by any other power in a one direction only if we're focused on our own interests. So it sounds like politics, but actually it comes down to jobs, comes down to people being able to get along with each other, understand each other. So leaders talking, really important. Leaders coming and visiting a winery, like Chinese Premier today is visiting Penfolds in South Australia. He'll go and visit a lithium facility in Western Australia, where these are about real jobs. These are about real opportunities. That lithium and other critical minerals that Australia supplies to China, that's critical for China to then supply the world with electric vehicles and with the other green industries that are being developed and that we need in the world to address climate change. So all of this is very real, and all of this means that, you know, we might look at the news and we might think leaders' visits, so what? Actually, it's really important to all of us. So let's hope actually that Australia and China, despite their differences, can get along better in the next few years.